The Atlantic coast in winter has a particular kind of silence. In Brigantine, New Jersey, on the night of February 23, 1997, that silence was deep and complete, broken only by the distant, rhythmic wash of waves on the shore. Inside a small, unassuming house, a 50-year-old grandmother settled in for the night. Her life was defined by the simple, profound rhythms of family, and that night, her 2 young grandchildren were sleeping soundly in the room with her. To comfort them more, perhaps herself, she had left several lamps burning, casting a warm, golden light that pushed the vast coastal darkness to the edges of the room. She had no way of knowing that before the night was over, that familiar light would be stolen, and she would be forced to fight a battle that would defy everything she knew about the world. It began with a sudden, inexplicable waking. The digital clock on the bedside table glowed 1 a.m., but something was wrong. The room, which had been bathed in light, was now submerged in an inky blackness. The lamps were off, not just switched off, but cold, as if they had been dead for hours. A primal fear, one that precedes rational thought, stirred within her. As her eyes strained to adjust, the shapes of the room emerged from the gloom: the dresser, a chair, the gentle rise and fall of the children's breathing forms. And then she saw them. 2 figures, no taller than 5 feet, stood motionless near the foot of her bed. They were unnaturally thin, silhouetted against the faint light from the window. They did not move, they did not speak. A terrifying thought, clear and desperate, formed in her mind. It was a plea sent out not with her voice, but with her very being. "Take me, if you must. Take someone, take me. But leave the children alone." There was no response, no acknowledgement. Only a chilling, impersonal silence. The plea had vanished into a void, then movement. It was not hesitant or curious. It was aggressive. One of the beings lunged forward, its grasp fastening around her with a strength that belied its slender frame. The touch was all wrong. The flesh was cold and unyielding, like hard, polished rubber. In that moment, the grandmother vanished, and the fighter emerged. Every instinct screamed to protect the children sleeping beside her. As the being pulled at her, she swung her fist, connecting with its face. The impact sent a jolt of pain up her arm. It was like punching a wall of solid plastic. Undeterred, driven by adrenaline, her hands found its throat. The skin there was horribly wrinkled, like that of a reptile, and just as tough. A frantic struggle ensued, a silent, desperate ballet in the dark. She could feel its cold, inert presence against her, smell a strange ozonic odor. In a final, gut-level act of defense, she sank her teeth into its arm. The sensation was nauseating. It was not like biting living flesh, but like biting into a cold, dense piece of ham, slick and rubbery. To her astonishment, the being went limp. It collapsed to the floor with a dull thud, but the reprieve was fleeting. A third figure materialized in the doorway. The 2 remaining beings moved toward her in unison, their intent now palpably hostile. One brushed a cold, spindly hand against her face, and another grabbed her wrist. This one's grip was like iron, utterly immovable. A wave of pressure built in her head, a crescendo of pain and disorientation, and then nothing. The world dissolved into unconsciousness. When she awoke, the room was as it should be. The first gray light of dawn filtered through the window. The children were still asleep, peaceful and untouched. For a moment, she could almost believe it had been a nightmare, a hallucination born of stress and fatigue. But her body told a different story. A severe, throbbing headache pulsed behind her eyes, unlike any she had ever experienced. And when her fingers went to her neck, probing the soreness there, she felt them. 3 small, precise puncture wounds arranged in a perfect, tiny triangle. They were not deep, but they were tangible, physical proof that the struggle had happened. The marks would eventually fade, but the memory was permanently seared into her psyche. The event in Brigantine remains a chilling enigma case where the witness was not a passive victim, but an active, fighting participant. She did not simply experience an abduction. She defended her home, tooth and nail, against the uninvited. The cold, rubbery flesh, the silent, non-responsive communication, and the final, mysterious wounds left behind a question that has never been adequately answered. What, in the quiet hours of that New Jersey night, did this grandmother truly fight?